welfare table. Today we'll be discussing the real effects of the welfare system. Does it hurt the poor? Does it help the poor? That is the question. First, we'll look at some historical context to put everything in perspective. The historical circumstances that came before and during the rise of the welfare system have a lot to do with the biases and stereotypes that have developed around it. First, let's consider the foundation of our beliefs. There are two major questions that have been repeatedly posed since the founding of our country. What role should the federal government play in American democracy? And how much power should it hold? A person's answers to these questions provide the foundation on which their beliefs on political, social, and economic issues, including welfare, lie. There are two extremes: those who believe that it's the government's duty to regulate the economy, and then there are proponents of laissez-faire capitalism, or completely unregulated economies. The former opinion stems from the Great Depression generation, and the latter stems from the American revolutionary ancestors who desired to be independent from European classism. Unfortunately, the welfare system has been stereotyped as a tool of reliance and dependence, going against strong American principles like independence and individualism. And all the Americans know, anything that inhibits independence must be fought until eliminated. Another central issue to the welfare system problem is, in America today, the social attitude towards the system is really, really awful. American society goes by a dog-eat-dog philosophy where people should be able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and carry on. The welfare system has come to symbolize a sort of modern-day Robin Hood, taking money from the rich in order to give to the poor, lazy, entitled, dependent, and low work ethic individuals. No matter the invalidity of these stereotypes, if this is the way that people on welfare are seen, it is logical to assume that the welfare system is seen as enabling these people. This cultural stigma has to be overcome before the effectiveness of this program can be properly determined by the American people. Furthermore, currently we have developed a rift between the Democratic and Republican parties, each focusing on specific aspects of the welfare system. Democrats cannot continue to promote government programs by focusing solely on the individual story and ignoring the amount of money that is spent by the government on welfare, while Republicans cannot continue to solely focus on the money and forget about the story of the individual. These are both important parts of the argument, and ignoring one part does not make their argument any stronger, or make the other side of the argument disappear. The individual and the money must be considered for the program's success, and for improvements to welfare, bipartisanship is needed. Now, we will move on to my co-host, Christina Peterman, who will talk about the realities of the welfare system.
Thanks, Ellisa. Now let's take a look at the realities of the welfare system today. The first major hurdle to address when looking at the American welfare system is the stereotypes surrounding it and the language used to discuss it. A very common misunderstanding about the welfare system is the previously mentioned Robin Hood theory. In reality, however, the percentage of direct public aid given through means-tested programs is only about 7. In addition, although generally seen as too liberal and socialistic, the United States is actually one of the few remaining industrialized countries that utilizes voluntary aid granted by employers. In fact, this type of aid, capitalistic in its very nature, sums about 40% of the total amount of money the U.S. spends on aid. In order to make progress with regards to the welfare system, the language used has to change. People must think about the system in different terms. Words and phrases such as lazy, low work ethic, and dependency, entitlements, only exacerbate the issue and prohibit progress. The truth is that there will always be people who manipulate the system, but the system is not only solely comprised of schemers. The second major hurdle lies in the way that the media and those in positions of authority, such as politicians, mislead the American public. Root cites in his article that the fact that the amount of money spent On direct public aid as a percent of GDP, the U.S. stands so far down on the list that only a handful of countries rank lower. However, after taking a closer look at this number, one realizes that ROOP fails to include health care, unemployment benefits, taxes, pensions, and many other ways in which the U.S. grants direct public aid. Morgan provides us with a much more accurate figure, which ranks the U.S. spending 5th highest in the world. No welfare system is perfect, least of all that in America. But before real and concrete progress can be made, the public must realize that the current welfare system is not a socialistic machine set out to destroy the ideals that this country was founded upon, nor is it a perfect solution to the issue of poverty. And in order for the public to come to that conclusion, each individual must assess and eradicate their various biases, and those in positions of power must cease releasing misleading studies and statistics which misrepresent the system or attempt to devalue its efforts. Only then can an unbiased and detached evaluation take place that could lead to effective reform. The issue of welfare is a complex and multifaceted debate that spans decades and the globe. And true progress can only be made once this fact is realized. Prejudices on both sides are put away, and the focus returns to lifting the lowest classes out of poverty. Now, we will turn to my co-host, Emily Patton, to discuss the various suggestions and possible solutions to this issue.
Thank you, Christina. Taking all these biases and perspectives into consideration, it becomes apparent that the welfare programs are necessary to provide for the impoverished class of American citizens, especially the disabled and elderly persons. The question then is how to modify the program in order to hopefully eliminate some of the tension between the opposing camps and, more importantly, increase its effectiveness. This goal can be achieved through 3 steps: the continued investigation of fraud and trafficking cases within all welfare programs, the opening of a civilian welfare court system, and the closing of extraneous tax loopholes. In order for money to be saved, continued, more active investigation must be made into the retailers that are providing resources like food stamps and free health care. This will aid in the elimination of trafficking from the system. Phase 2, the creation of a civilian welfare court system, will further contribute to fraud-eliminating effort by holding individuals accountable for the money that they are receiving from the government. This court system would allow welfare recipients to present their case to impartial civilian juries biannually in order for their benefits to continue. These juries will call on citizens from all economic classes and social backgrounds in order to ensure the fair analysis of each candidate. At the close of each hearing, if the simple majority of the jury members see the candidate as eligible, their benefits will continue. If, however, they are deemed unsuitable, the person will be granted 1 final month of resources before being removed from the program and forced to apply again if additional aid is needed. Through the implementation of this system, those who are abusing the system will be rooted out, and those who may be becoming dependent upon the government aid will be held accountable in front of their peers. By creating the jury system, everyday citizens, as well as high-ranking politicians, will be able to have a greater understanding of the welfare system and its needed physical presence on a first-hand, personal basis. After utilizing the first 2 phases to eliminate fraud, the final phase will be implemented in an effort to prevent the excess loss of funds within the government due to tax loopholes. By closing loopholes like those present in the carried income tax, the government saves money that may be used either to reduce the federal debt or to potentially support more struggling citizens with the welfare programs. In order to improve the welfare's effective usage within the American economy, the fraud and trafficking must be further minimalized through both the investigation of retailers and the installation of a welfare court system. In addition, the closing of tax loopholes will eliminate the loss of excess funds, appeasing the radical Republicans who fear that too much government money is being spent. Regardless of party affiliation, the need to eradicate poverty is universally recognized. By taking these steps as described, we believe that the modified welfare system will most sufficiently provide for the less fortunate members of American society. That's all for today. Thank you for watching The Square Table. We'll be back next week with an analysis of America's foreign policy. Thank you.